would seem like in spirituality, chasing bliss would be a good thing. Actually, bliss anytime would be a good thing. There's certainly blissful moments in life, maybe not as many as we'd like, but when they happen, beautiful, right? We don't have to try to pretend that we don't enjoy them. There's no spiritual payoff in doing that. But we may get caught in the idea that that's how it should be, like more of the time, preferably all of the time. I just want to feel good. Okay. So there's, when, pleasurable things happen, that's certainly a part of life, and there's no point in pretending that we don't enjoy them. There's no point in sort of, the austerities of not taking pleasure when it comes our way. Beautiful part of life, right? The difficulty comes when we think that somehow it should be like that, like all the time, or at least most of the time, or at least more than is happening now. We feel like that's how life should be, right? Life is as it is, and then we have this idea of how it should be, like more pleasurable, more often, more high states than what's happening now. And the Buddha told us 2,500 years ago that it's often translated as life is suffering. Well, it's not entirely suffering. I mean, there's some very enjoyable moments in life. But I think what he really meant and how it's more properly translated is that it is not entirely satisfactory. If it was entirely satisfactory, we'd be satisfied, like permanently. Something would happen that was so good, so fulfilling, so complete that would just do it for the rest of our life, right? But life doesn't work like that. I mean, if we get to, let's say we move into a new house, a new apartment that we really want, it's everything that we wanted, we move in, we feel really good. So we don't have to deny that we don't. But then, a few months later, we might still like the house, but it doesn't give us that same feeling of, finally, everything I've always wanted, and here it is. And it's so nice, but it's not ultimately fulfilling. And so this is what the Buddha was calling that sense of unsatisfactoriness in life. Okay, so we can acknowledge that bliss, when it happens, is great. The danger is that if we believe that is the goal, that's what I want, more, preferably perpetual bliss, that would do it. So then we're chasing something that is really not a characteristic of life. Life won't fulfill us in that way. It may give us some extraordinarily pleasurable times. It may be meaningful. It may be a lot of things, but it won't be ultimately satisfying. I'm talking about the circumstances of life, simply because the circumstances are always changing. They're not permanent. The bodies change, the bodies age, the bodies get sick. Our situation changes, our community changes, our government changes. Everything is subject to change. And so there's not this sense of being able to rest as this fully complete, blissful state. Okay. So if we're chasing that, if we believe that, okay, maybe maybe life as it is right now isn't perpetually blissful, but here's the tricky part. But if I get enlightened, then it will be. Right? That's the promise, right? The promise that's often made. The only problem with it is that it's not true. It's just not true. Because there will be, before awakening, there will be some high states, lovely. There'll be some challenging times. We all know that as well. After awakening, the same. There'll still be some high states, and there'll still be some challenging times. So the liberation is not from the challenges of life. The liberation is actually from our insistence that we should be freed from the challenges of life. Does that make sense? The liberation is really letting go of our insistence that life be a certain way. And that might not sound as motivational as perpetual bliss. The only difference is that it's achievable. Perpetual bliss is not. Again, simply because situations are in continuous flux. Sometimes blissful, yes, beautiful. Sometimes not. Sometimes difficult. Sometimes very difficult. And the same will be true after awakening, with the difference being that we've just dropped our insistence that it look any particular way, that we're willing to live life on life's terms and to be fully present for whatever life happens to offer in the moment. Right? It's a shift of perspective where we're no longer viewing life as an oppositional character, as an alien force, something to battle against. It's not that at all. It's coming to an understanding that how life is presenting itself is for our benefit. It may not always feel like that, right? Life may challenge us, but it's precisely those challenges that often cause us the greatest leaps in growth, right? Really difficult situations where we're forced to look at life from a different perspective, give up some of our beliefs about how life should be, and come into alignment with how life actually is. It doesn't mean that we have to like everything that happens. Doesn't mean that we condone everything that happens. There'll still be, our preferences, of course. There'll still be our, discretion about what feels right. But we can acknowledge that in any moment life is moving as it moves, and we can choose to be on board with that or argue with it. And by being on board, again, I don't mean agreeing with or condoning it. I'm just saying that it's an acknowledgement that is, in this moment, how life is happening, how life as a whole is moving. Right? So if we drop our opposition or sort of our stance in opposition to life, if we drop that, then it simply means that we're acknowledging that at this time life is as it is. And then we can choose to respond to that, to the limits of our understanding in that moment. So this is the difference between chasing bliss and coming into alignment with this movement of life, right? So in spirituality, you could say that there's really two it's a very generalized statement, but two very broad and very different motivations. One is to wanting to feel good, and the other one is wanting to see truth. So the wanting to feel good is what we're calling chasing bliss, right? I just want to feel good naturally. It makes sense, right? Who wouldn't? Right? But when we look at it really closely, for whose benefit are we chasing that? I mean, is it not for this, very personal me, this body, this mind, this, my storyline? I mean, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about feeling good, right? Feeling good in the body, feeling good in psychologically, good memories, good experiences, good sensations. I just want to feel good. And so we can spend a great deal of energy in life chasing the next experience to give us some sense of pleasure in the body and the mind. And that's what most people do, on and on. If any one of those things was ultimately satisfying, we would just have to experience that once, and then we'd be good. But that's not how it works. However pleasurable, however blissful, however ecstatic some spiritual experience may be, it will, over time, decay in a sense, gradually drop away. It doesn't last. No state, no experience lasts forever. It may feel good for a while, maybe weeks, maybe months. That sense of ecstatic relief may be there, but over time it will settle. And Eckhart Tolle said something very similar. He said when he first woke up, there was just this bliss. But he recognized afterwards that it was bliss compared to the depression that he was experiencing before, from one day to the next. That depression dropped away. There was bliss, right? The lack of depression. Felt good. But he said, over time, what he realized is that it settled into contentment. And that's what happens. It's a sense of, well, this is how life should feel. This just feels normal. But when I look back on my life prior to awakening, it feels, I know I lived through it, but it feels strained. It feels anxious. It feels out of sync with life. It feels awkward. Feels self-conscious. All of those things. So it's really an altered state. So what we're talking about is coming back to just a sense of just a natural state. How things really are when we're not distorting it through all of our ideas and beliefs and opinions. So that's what drops away with awakeness. It's not a transition to a perpetually high state. It's really the dropping away of all of the conceptions, mental conceptions about who we are and what the world is and what other people are about, and all of those ideas, and just coming back to the current experience in a very non-conceptual way. So that's actually the liberation. The liberation isn't from being saved from the difficulties of life. It's really allowing life to be lived through this form willingly. And then that's the freedom, the lack of resistance, the lack of holding us apart from life, the lack of trying to control life to our benefit. And it's really allowing life to be experienced as it shows up in moment to moment. And then we're in a position to respond to it. And there is a deeper intelligence when we're not trying to operate from our mental ideas all the time, from our agendas all the time. There's a deeper intelligence that's available. My mother used to call it common sense. I'm not sure how common it is, but it's that deeper sense where it's just, we just know that it's true without basing it on ideas and things that we've heard or read. It's just a deep sense of knowing. In the East they call it heart wisdom. It comes from a place other than our head, a deeper place. So this is really what this journey is about. Because if we are just in it to feel good, there's one path, but it always will leave us wanting for the next experience. Or there's the path of seeking truth, and that will take us through many emotions, many states of being, many circumstances in order to clear out the debris that we've picked up over the years. Because what it clears out is just the sort of the overlay, the mental overlay on what is already living this life. It's not about creating a spiritual self. That's already the case. It's already exists. Your true nature is already complete, already pure. So it's just clearing away a little debris that obscures that essential fact. And the willingness to live life on life's terms is allowing life to guide us in that journey. Life knows what it's doing much better than we could ever know. And so it's really allowing life to present circumstances for us that will give us opportunities to learn about what is truly living this life.